Who's to blame for crazy high gas prices? Gas and diesel prices have reached an all-time high. U.S. gas prices have hit an average of over $5 a gallon, according to AAA. And these high gas prices hurt every citizen and are no more than an additional tax we all pay at the pump. So who is to blame for these crazy high gas prices? No, it's not greedy oil companies. So who is at fault? Americans are having to spend more of their hard-earned money on everything, and inflation is diminishing the money. Our government is asking producers to defy the logic behind supply and demand economics. President Biden scolded oil manufacturers, saying that Vladimir Putin's hiking the prices. This makes no sense, as leaders of other countries cannot affect the cost of fuel in the USA. Especially if you can produce your own oil production, this simply doesn't make any sense. But there is more than what's on the surface. Welcome back to the channel. I'm Lauren Fix. If this is your first time here, we give you more than car reviews and first looks of new vehicles. We give you car smarts, because knowledge is power. Don't forget to subscribe and click that little bell for notifications so you don't miss anything. This week, President Biden sent letters to 7 major oil companies saying he would take action if they didn't boost fuel output from the domestic refineries. He stated, "I understand that many factors contributed to the business decisions to reduce refinery capacity, which occurred before I took office. But at a time of war, refinery profit margins are well above normal. Being passed directly on to American families are not acceptable." The response from the American Fuel and Petrochemical Manufacturers, AFPM President and CEO Chet Thompson said, "We are surprised and disappointed by the president's letter. Any suggestion that the U.S. refineries are not doing our part to bring stability to the market is false." In the president's letter, Biden warned the leaders of 7 major U.S. oil producers and refiners, ExxonMobil, Chevron, BP America, Shell USA, Phillips 66, Marathon, and Valero, that he was prepared to use all reasonable and appropriate federal government tools and emergency authorities to increase petroleum refinery capacity and output. This sounds like the government wants to inflict price controls on oil and gas industry. As many will recall from the Carter administration, it was a disaster and cost consumers even more than before the price controls. It's important to note that the U.S. refining capacity utilization surged to 91.3% in March. It's the highest rate since June of 2021, and it's expected to average 94% between July and September, according to a June 7 report from the Energy Information Administration, or EIA. Refining utilization measures how much fuel refiners produce from crude oil inputs relative to their total production capacity. The oil industry is producing at capacity and continues to explore options that would have the result of delivering additional energy products to customers in the U.S. and abroad. John Kerry's solution of increasing the cost of oil does not lower the price of gasoline at the pumps. Period. It will blow up the price of oil and gas. Would you be surprised to know that before Biden's election, the ExxonMobil company had publicly announced plans for billions of investments to increase its refining capacity in the U.S.? It did. Then only days later, another attack on the oil industry by the administration caused ExxonMobil to rethink their investment, as would any business who finds that they're being targeted by Washington. The Biden strategy against the oil industry should surprise no one, though. He ran on shutting it down and his pledge to do all in DC's power to eviscerate the fossil fuel industry. Why do such a thing if there wasn't an agenda that goes along with such an attack? Especially when our nation's infrastructure and energy production capacity is nowhere near where it needs to be to affect anything approaching a meaningful impact on the environment. We have seen shutdowns, biorefineries, and U.S. policy that has punished refiners to produce. This does not promote any company to produce more oil. It's not big oil. The price of oil and gas has increased and impacted inflation. Prices are not going up simply because of greed. Increased costs for manufacturing, supply chain, and employees are passed along to consumers. No company can survive at a loss, and they can't make it up over time. And increasing the volume at a loss will never work. The oil and gas industry kept investing even during the pandemic, when they lost more than $20 billion and had to borrow more than $30 billion to maintain the investment to increase capacity and be ready for the post-pandemic demand. U.S. refineries are running at a record high utilization rate, and that expanding refinery capacity is a long-term proposition, not a short-term fix. Any suggestion that U.S. refineries are not doing their part to bring stability to the market is patently false. Russia's invasion of Ukraine did not impact our energy prices, especially because we are able to be energy independent. Solar and wind are both inefficient and unreliable, even though the government is trying to convince you that this is true. Here's who stands to win from high gas prices. Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates could benefit from the price spike if they decide to put more oil on the market. Saudi Arabia usually has 1.5 million to 2 million barrels of oil per day of spare capacity, or barrels that could be quickly moved onto the market and sustained for a period of time. The UAE also has spare capacity. This is now the oil that our president is going to beg for from MBS, while the potential for the U.S. oil and gas production makes the Saudi Arabian look like a pond, not an ocean. Here's the bottom line. There is one of many positive solutions that will lower gas prices to Americans. Shale oil producers are particularly well suited to benefit from high gas prices, given the relatively quick turnaround for extracting this type of oil. Shale is a type of rock that can be found in Colorado, Utah, Wyoming, and other states that contain oil and gas. Producers often use hydraulic fracking to develop these fuels. The process for extracting shale usually takes less time than does extracting conventional oil, meaning that the shale producers can more easily ramp up production in response to the high prices. The shale producers so far have been hesitant to ramp up production because of the environmental attacks on the process as well. Buying from Canada is another answer that would lower gas prices. Canada continues to offer to sell it to us, and the current government won't talk to them about it. This makes no sense, and we are all paying the price. Let's open the conversations. The federal government should promote investment through clear and consistent policy, such as streamlining the regulatory approval process for fossil fuel infrastructure and holding regular oil and gas lease sales. The industry needs to know beyond a 2 or 4 year horizon what our nation's energy policy will be in order to make the vast investment we will need to meet the demand. So who is to blame for the high gas prices? The administration's misguided policy agenda, shifting away from domestic oil and natural gas from day one, and has been compounded by inflationary pressures. Government policy has impacted gas prices and has hurt Americans and our economy. The government wants price controls, and that's been the goal all along. Control the price, control the access, control the supply, and prices will continue to go up just like they did under the Carter administration. Now watch gas prices go higher. There is so much more to discuss in this. Put that in the comments down below and let's start the conversation. If you like this video, give it a like and subscribe for more videos like this one. And if you have any questions or comments, I'll be happy to answer. All my links for social media, the book, the podcast are in the description. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll look forward to seeing you next time.